You know, there's a lot of synchronicities that can happen when people direct their emotional energy toward their chosen ideal.
I remember
that's mysterious. That's very mysterious.
I remember one time I was when I was living in LA, and I was driving. You just clicked that memory in me, and I was driving down the 405 freeway. I saw this old beaten up Beetle driving behind me, and I was driving at that time a brand new Porsche.
Oh, okay.
And
did you offer them to trade?
No, fire engine red. I mean, it was a totally ego car, but anyway, I was in that ego state, and I looked in my rearview mirror at this little bashed up Beetle that was coming up behind me too fast, and I thought, oh my gosh, if I have to brake because of the car in front of me braking, that car is going to hit me. I just had that feeling, and sure enough, the car in front of me put its foot in the brake. I put my foot in the brake. The Beetle went ramming right into the back of me. So I already knew that was going to happen beforehand. I was kind of stunned, and at the same time, I went into this other space where I thought, I knew that was going to happen. So I was upset. I was angry. But at the same time, I just sat at the wheel. I didn't even get out of the car. And I said, oh, God, somehow get me out of this mess, please. Just get me out of this mess. Because what had happened is his bumper had gone right underneath my bumper, and we became hooked like a train. So he was stuck to me. We were joined together. And I stood there, and I just said under my breath, God, please find a way to get me unstuck from this guy who shouldn't be a part of me right now. And this other guy came up behind in a van, and he said, are you okay? And I said, well, he's stuck to me, and I need him to get unstuck. And he said, oh, well, I just happen to have a battery-operated chainsaw. And he pulls out this chainsaw, and he sawed off the guy's bumper from his car, and it dropped on the floor.
Really?
Yeah. And I said, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And he said, don't thank me, thank God. And I just stood there, my jaw dropped open. I got back in the car. I was like...
And the guy with the Beetle was minus a bumper.
Yeah.
He didn't offer to saw off your bumper, huh?
No.
Well, LA is certainly a good place for those traffic jam Bhakti stories.
No kidding. But it happened instantly. I mean, that was amazing.
Well, when we're just able to muster up enough surrender to our chosen ideal, whether it's God or our path or the energy that's moving, if we're able to muster up some surrender to that, some active surrender, meaning we're not stopping doing things, but
yes,
just being open to solutions. A little bit of bhakti will draw energy from all over. In fact, we could even say it draws from the entire cosmos. And it is quite amazing the way that happens, and many people can attest to this, and of course science can't measure it.
So
anyway,
you've written that all emotion is the power of love. Is that true of hatred and anger as well?
Yes, it is. And all emotion is seeking union with God. It's seeking that joining, that oneness, and sometimes it expresses as fear. And of course, fear is the child of hatred and violence and all that. But behind it all is a desire for peace and union. And of course, and it does become very distorted, but still, all desire has its roots in the divine. And the more purified we become through practices such as deep meditation and so forth, the more pure our desires become. And that thing that wants to separate us, that fear of death and fear of obliteration, slowly dissolves, and the desire transforms to be a flow outward to service, which really brings us to the karma yoga side of it.
Mm-hmm.
How's that for a segue?
Yeah, perfect.
One of the first things we talk about in karma yoga is the fact that it's not fixed. We talk about karma sometimes with a sort of a sense of resignation or even a sense of humor. If you trip and fall down the stairs, you say, "Oh, my karma threw me down the stairs," or whatever, and
yes.
you have a good laugh about it. But the fact of the matter is, karma is not fixed, and
that's good news.
By virtue of that, hatred and violence are not fixed in the world karma, if you will, or societal or even individual karma. So, what karma means is action and its consequences, and by consequences we mean latent impressions which may or may not manifest in a highly visible way. So when we're talking about karma not being visible, we're talking about the obstructions in our nervous system, the obstructions to the flow of inner silence and ecstasy, which is our nature. And when we talk about visible consequences, we see action occurring around us in the world. But as we clear out the inner obstructions, we're also clearing out outer obstructions because we're connected with everything else. And so the consequences will still be there in seed form, but the results will be different. And this is why I say karma isn't fixed. People say, "Oh, can I get rid of all my karma?" And the answer is no, you can never get rid of karma. But what you can do is transform it.
Yes.
Dramatically.
Yes.
So instead of attacking your neighbor, with the very same karmic impulse, you can be serving your neighbor.
I think being even afraid of your karma can be a path of bhakti. Because
being afraid of it?
I've had this discussion before with someone when they've been afraid of, negative karma maybe coming back to haunt them. And because of that, they go into a life of service. And or they start a path with the bhakti practicing and devotion because they know that they've done something. And
yes, that's actually something that's central to many of the religions. The expression God-fearing.
Yes.
To be God-fearing is to be more religious. And it obviously has an effect on our conduct. So it has a practical value to be God-fearing or to be karma-fearing. We'll be less likely to go out and commit those acts that could be harmful to others. So it has a place in there at a certain level. But I would say that ultimately all fear is transcended. I know that for a fact. All fear is transcended as we advance on the path. But we may start out in that God-fearing mode, and this sort of brings in the element of sin. And what is sin, And there's a chapter in the book, a short chapter in the book on sin, and basically saying that sin is not real. Sin is something that's defined from the outside or by ourselves. It's a judgment. It's a judgment of our actions.